Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to do a riff on a steak Diane, except instead of steak I'm going to use chicken breasts. I had some chicken breasts in the freezer. Every once in a while I'll buy a whole chicken, chop it up, because there's huge cost savings in buying the whole bird. And you can check out one of our videos elsewhere on the channel of how to chop up a chicken. It's really easy. So I've got 2 eggs in this pie plate, and I'm just going to give them a little bit of a whisking with a fork. Not too much. In this pan I have some flour, and I'm going to season that generously with salt and pepper. Okay, and just use a pair of tongs. Give it a bit of a stir. You're going to get flour everywhere. You're going to get flour everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it. In this last pie plate, I'm going to put some panko. And you don't have to use panko, although I kind of think that panko is best for this. It is a fantastic thing to be using in the kitchen. You could use regular breadcrumbs. You could use crushed up saltines, Ritz crackers. You could use corn flakes. Rice Krispies. I have used Rice Krispies to do this, and it turned out amazing. Almost as good as panko. Now, I've got 2 chicken breasts here, and they were absolutely massive. So what I did was I pulled the tender off the back, and we're going to use that as one piece. And then I took the other pieces and sliced them down the middle. So I've actually got 6 pieces of chicken. If your chicken breasts aren't so large, you could just take them and pound them flat to make them a little bit bigger, like schnitzel. I think that butterflying them or cutting them open like this is a great way to do it. So dredge them in the flour first, then into the egg wash, and make sure you get egg all over, and then into the panko. And again, crust it with the panko all over. Now I've got this heavy pan here, and I'm going to put some oil in the bottom, a good amount of oil, because we're going to be frying quite a bit of chicken. And I'm also going to add maybe a tablespoon or 2 of butter. And the butter is there for flavor. So we'll just let that melt a little bit, and then we're going to fry off the chicken and brown it on both sides. Okay, in the first 2 go. And we'll just let those brown on both sides. And once they're browned on both sides, I'm going to put them on this baking tray on a rack. And I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees. So I'm going to put the chicken on this pan in the oven to finish cooking while we make the sauce. Now, we've got an incredible amount of flavor built up in the bottom of this pan. We've got brown butter bits, we've got a little bit of the chicken flavor. It's all going on in here. So I've got a couple of shallots that I have diced up pretty fine. And I'm going to put those in and let them soften a little bit. Doesn't take long for that to soften up, and then I'm going to put in some sliced mushrooms. And we're going to cook that until the mushrooms soften completely and give up most of their liquid. Now, I'm going to flambe this with a little bit of brandy. You could use brandy, cognac. I've done this with a dark rum. You could do this with a whiskey or a bourbon. I don't know that an Islay Scotch or something that's really peaty would work. Not for me, it might work for you, but there are a lot of different alcohols that you could use in this. You could also just use wine and not flambe it. So, I'm going to pour about a 1/4 cup of wine in there. I'm going to let that bubble up and boil a little bit. And then I'm going to stand back and I'm going to light it on fire. Now, if you're not comfortable with the idea of a flambe, don't do it. Have the lid of your pan close by. Have a fire extinguisher close by. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Just use wine or use a lot less brandy just to get the flavor in there. Don't worry too much about it. Once the fire burns out, we'll just give that a bit of a stir. And I'm going to add in some chicken stock. And I'm just going to let that simmer a little bit to reduce by probably 1/2 to 2/3. Now, while this is simmering down, I've got a sprig of thyme here, and I just want to get some of the leaves into the pan, not the stalks. Keep the stalks aside. just pull off some of the leaves, and you can chop them up on a board if you want to. And the really soft stems, if you get some of those in, it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world at all. Okay. I also want to put in a spoonful of Dijon mustard. And we'll just stir that in. Now the last ingredient to put in the pan is some cream. And I'm going to use heavy cream or 35% whipping cream. And we're going to stir this in to give us a really nice, luscious sauce. Now you could add the chicken pieces back into the pot with the sauce, but I think what I'm going to do is put them on this platter and then pour the sauce over top. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Tell me more. It looks a bit like a not quite flattened enough schnitzel. It just, you know, it's got the breading, it's got the mushroom on top.
So it's chicken Diane, but I did bread the chicken, but I made but I made it like a steak Diane.
Okay.
So I made a brandy sauce, a brandy cream sauce to go over top.
I like brandy cream sauce.
Breaded the chicken with some panko. Let's see what happens.
Da, da, da. Here's the Julie slicing shot. Super exciting. Why don't I just give you that piece?
Okay, thank you.
It seems easier. Since the fork is already stuck in it.
Crispy, crunchy. The chicken's really good. The chicken's pretty moist too, which is something I really hate about chicken breasts. How dry it can be sometimes.
It can be. It can be. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's a lovely chicken. It's not schnitzel, but you know. I bet it would go with it's still got all those great schnitzel parts to it. So, you know, if you put a bunch of sauerkraut on it, it would be good too.
I think so. So this is an option for an easy weeknight chicken meal. I really like it. I'm looking forward to this. That chicken would be really good on a sandwich too.
Yes, it would. It's just a little bit of cheese and on a nice fresh bun.
Yeah, a little bit of mustard,
Good
cheese.
thing I made some bread yesterday.
And this sauce would be great on potatoes, rice, noodles, all of those things. So you could pair this with just about anything.
You could open face sandwich it.
Yeah.
Oh, so many options.
Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.